Hi, I'm Evon at Shreve Memorial Library, Cedar Grove branch. I'd like to welcome you today for some instructions that I'm going to give you on how to relieve yourself of a little bit of stress in your neck and shoulders. Sometimes we tend to get a little bit of overuse in this area. Maybe we're sitting at a computer all day long, typing, doing type of work, and after a while you kind of get a tightness and a stiffness right here, and maybe even just feel a little bit of soreness. Maybe you're an athlete or a gardener and you like to go outside and dig and plant those beautiful flowers for the springtime, and it isn't long before we're beginning to feel a little tightness and soreness here in our neck and shoulders. Or maybe you're like me and you love to sew and you're sitting at a sewing machine and suddenly you're realizing that this neck and shoulder area is really tight and stiff and sore. So we're going to do a few little exercises to help relieve some of that stress, some of that tension, and give you a little bit of relief in that area. Not only that, but it'll also help your posture. One of the things that I'm going to use today to help us in our exercise are stretch bands, or they're called resistant bands. And they come in groups of different tensions that you can use, or different types of resistance. Some of them are milder than others. My particular bands that I use are called TheraBands, and they come in a set of different colors. I have the yellow, the green, and the red. And I graduate to each of these depending on where I start in my resistance with my exercises. This one is the lightest of the resistance. The red would be the next resistance to build up a little bit stronger. And then the last one is the green, which is the more tightest of tension or the resistant bands. So I'm going to be using these today in our exercises that I will be showing you. The first thing I want to show you is a little bit of a shoulder back stretch. What I do is I take my shoulders back and I squeeze the back of my shoulders and I hold it for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I release. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. I'm going to turn sideways in my chair so that you can see how it's pulling into the back area back there. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Now what we want to do, we can do this sitting in a chair. You can also do it if you're lounging, but specifically you want to do it in a chair that you're just sitting in. This is a sitting exercise when you're at the computer or at your sewing machine or somewhere where you're beginning to feel really tired in your neck and shoulders and you need a little bit of relief. That particular exercise you want to do in sets of 30. So you would do the first set, holding each motion for 5 seconds, releasing. Do a second set of 10, pulling your shoulders back, holding it for 5 seconds, and then releasing. And a third set, pulling your shoulders back, holding it for 5 seconds, and releasing it. That gives your 30. The next exercise that I want to show you is we're going to use one of our stretch bands. I'm going to use the one that doesn't have as much resistance, just for show. But again, you're going to use this as you begin to graduate into more tone in your neck and shoulders. Then you would graduate to the more resistant or the harder to pull band, which would be the red and then the green. So we're going to start with our elbows to our side. Our palms are down. We're just going to hold the stretch band right out in front of us, and we're going to pull to the side and hold it for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. And again, you'll want to do this in sets of 30, so you'll do 10, holding it for 5 seconds, do 10 more, second set, holding for 5 seconds, and then a third set of 10, holding each time, each exercise, each stretch for 5 seconds. Once you've mastered that, I would say for a couple of weeks, or maybe even just a week, depending on how much tone and how much soreness you have, then you will graduate to the red one, doing the same thing, pulling it to the side, holding it for 5 seconds, and then releasing. Once you build up a little tone with this color, then you'll go on to the more difficult pulling of this particular stretch band, and it does have a lot more resistance. But this will give you tone in your arms and your shoulder, and it helps your posture because you're pulling your back and stretching that spine to where it'll help alleviate some of that pain from hunching over a computer or hunching over your sewing machine, or maybe even driving. You can always take a 5 or 10 minute break and do these sitting in a car or getting out of your car and just standing by the car and doing it just to relieve some of that pressure that you're feeling and some of that soreness that you're feeling in your neck and shoulders. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to do is a standing exercise, and we're going to use the stretch band for that. So all I'm going to do is stand up in front of my chair, and I'm going to pull it back just a little bit so you can see me in the screen, and I'm going to take one end of my stretch band and I'm going to step on it. And once I step on it, I'm going to pull my arm straight out in front of me and to the side. And I'm going to hold that for 5 seconds and then release it. So here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Now we'll do the other side, same way. You want to do this in sets of 30, so you'll do the first set 10 times, holding it for 5 seconds. Second set, do 10 times, holding each one for 5 seconds, and a third set of 10, holding them for 5 seconds. Now we're going to do the other side, so I'm going to switch and I'm going to stand on my stretch band, and I'm going to do the same thing. Pull it straight out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Now I'm going to do one other exercise, and it's called, that is similar to this, and it is going to be what I call the sword pull. I'm actually going to start on this side of the body, and I'm going to pull straight out and up. Here we go. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Again, you'll want to do 30 of those, 10 sets each, holding each one for 5 seconds. Switch to the other side, do the same thing. You'll step on the stretch band, you'll put your sword in, and you'll pull it straight out and up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Again, you'll do that side, same as the others. You'll do it for 30, 10 sets each, holding each one for 5 seconds. Now we're going to do one other exercise with a stretch band. And a while ago, the first one that we did, we held it this way. This time we're going to have our palms up. We're going to have our hands straight out and pull to the side, just like this, across our chest. Now we want to put our elbows to the side, put our hands like we were picking up a cake or maybe a pan that you have in the oven that you're taking out and you're going to hold it. So then we'll wrap our fingers around our stretch band and pull it to the side. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. And again, you'll do that exercise, same as the others, 10 sets, 30 all together, 3 sets of 10, holding each one for 5 seconds. One last exercise before we say goodbye, and this is a shoulder roll. I'm going to pull my shoulders up and roll it back and hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, and release. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Up, rotate back, hold, 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 release. You'll do that again 30 times, 3 sets of 10, holding each of that toward the back after you've rolled up and back, holding that for 5 seconds. We are about out of time for this episode. We're planning on making more of these, so I hope you will come back and join us next time. One last thing, you're going to say, where can I find these stretch bands, these resistant bands? Mine I got through Amazon. They come in sets. You can get them on Amazon, order them. You can also probably get them at your local athletic store. Academy has some of them. Sometimes they're just not these types of bands. Sometimes they're just plain rubber ropes with handles on the ends. There's different styles, but they're definitely available online at Amazon, and you can also get them at your local athletic store. Thank you so much for allowing me to share these with you, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you for joining.